Another thing that is different between Japan and Korea, and I don't really like it in Korea, which sounds strange because I'm very superficial, but I would say that Korean society is kind of built around superficial values. The shop assistant in Korea are crazy. Korean people can be like very blunt. Oh lord. And the light is fucking gone. Hey guys! So today's video is going to be about Japan against Korea. I got a lot of new followers lately and I've been like stalking you guys on social media. And I saw that a lot of you are into Japan but also a lot into Korea. So I thought it might be interesting to compare both, because when it's time for you to like pack your bag for wherever you are from to go and visit those countries for the first time, you either sometimes don't have the budget to visit both, or you have to visit both but you have to divide your time between both. So it would be interesting to like give you guys my experience and my personal preferences, so you guys could make your own personal opinion about which place you should go first, or which place you should spend more time at, or how you should just organize your whole travel. Now, I do think it's a bit stupid in a way to compare both countries, like two different countries, because there are a lot of social and economical reason for those differences, but I still think it can be like helpful for you, and it still can be like an interesting to do, so you can still have a better idea before you actually go there. I also want to say as a disclaimer that everything I'm going to be saying is just my personal opinion from my personal experiences. But well, if you feel like trashing me in the comment box down below, you can also come for me, honey, because people come for me all the time, they just don't find me. Now just know that I am not biased at all. Like, I love Japan and Korea equally, so I think you should visit both. Japan. To begin with, in terms of politeness, which is one of the big reason why I love Japan so much. Politeness is really part of Japanese culture. It's not even like an individual thing. It's just globally part of the culture. So people are just extremely polite, extremely gentle, and extremely like nice and helpful, and like they apologize all the time. Even sometimes if you like walking and you hit someone, they might apologize to you even if you were the one who was not looking. Respect is really very important in Japanese society, whereas in Korea people can be extremely rude. Like, basically people in the street, when they like hit you, they don't apologize. And this is something that was quite shocking to me, because even in Paris, where people are not like the most polite people, when someone like hits you or something, 80% of the time they would say, "Oh, I'm sorry." But in Korea, they don't even look at you, they just like hit you with the shoulders and like they keep walking and you're like, what just happened? They also are known to be like very blunt, as well as Japanese people are known to be very polite. Korean people are kind of known to be very blunt. And you can basically have someone just like comment on your appearance. I went once shopping in the big like fabric market. I don't really remember where it's located. I'm gonna insert it like somewhere in the video here. And I went to the big fabric market. They also have like clothes and hats and a lot of like fashion things. And I saw that woman, an American woman, who was like a curvilicious woman, and I was like a few feet like behind her, and she went into the shop and she hadn't even stepped into the shop yet, and the shop assistant, like it was a man, was like, no big size, no big size. I was like, that's so rude. Like, what do you know if maybe she's just like coming to shop for somebody. Even if you don't have big size, she might just figure it out by herself. But the main good by doing this, it's not like he was throwing shade. From my point of view, it's still a little bit rude. Whereas in Japan, people tend to be as honest, but they sugarcoat a little bit more, which I prefer, because you can be 100% honest with someone, but you don't have to like hit them in the face with whatever you're saying, and especially where it's something that you haven't been asked upon. Nobody asks your opinion. So if you're gonna say something, at least like put a little bit of sugar in it before you like tell them. And I feel Japanese people are more that way, whereas in Korea, they kind of like put it right in your face, like boom bitch. Whether you're going to go in Japan or in Korea as a foreigner, I think you're going to get a lot of looks. But there are different kind of looks in my opinion. So basically in Japan I feel quite comfortable because I get a lot of looks. But first, when you can't look back at the person, either they're gonna smile or say hi or like talk to you, either they're gonna be shy and look away. Whereas in Korea, first the look are often a little bit more critical in my opinion, whereas in Japan the looks are more like either surprise, either appreciation, either curiosity. Feel like the person wants you to know how they feel about you and what they feel about you and what they think about you. So I have some people like look me like up and down like in the street at Karosuki, and I was like, bitch, I don't even know you, like stop looking at me. And when you look them back, they're not gonna look away, they're gonna keep like watching you. Like comes like this kind of like stare game, like
it's not a stare, it's the bitch please look, and this is how the bitch please look is. Like, bitch please, that's the kind of look I be giving.
So that's something that can make a lot of people feel uncomfortable, and it was okay for me because even in Paris people gave this kind of judgmental looks, so I kind of like felt okay with it. But I still prefer to be in Japan because there, even if I get some stares, I even don't feel them because they don't mean anything. Another thing that I don't really like it in Korea, which sounds strange because I'm very superficial, but I would say that Korean society is kind of built around superficial values in a way. And I mean, people are gonna get mad at me maybe for saying this, but from the plastic surgery ad who are like all over the city, like they are in the train, they are in the metro, they are in the street. I feel like society pressure in Korea is really based upon your looks. And I mean, it's based also upon like your work and your success. But there's also one thing, one of my Korean friends told me that in Korea, basically, if you look good, if you're beautiful, you can be successful in whatever you want to accomplish, whether you want to be like a doctor or porn star. Your looks is what is really like gonna take you to the next level. And a lot of like Korean students, when they graduated from like college, they get plastic surgery because they know it's gonna help them in their career goals. Whereas in Japan, there is also a lot of like society pressure and a lot of like peer pressure, but I feel like the peer pressure is pretty much more about the inside, like about your politeness and your intelligence and this kind of values. It's more like focused upon this than in Korea. And I mean, don't get me wrong, in Japan also people like people who dress up nicely and people who look good and everything. But I feel like it doesn't have that same importance, and that people kind of focus more about like your energy, your personality, and what you have inside you basically. And for that reason, when I was in Korea, I felt really like uncomfortable for like 3 weeks, because especially of the place where I was living in Karosuki, which is basically like the, let's say the upper east side of like Korea. because they have like all the fancy shopping streets, and they have a lot of plastic surgery center, and Karosuki is known to have like the prettiest girl. So basically they look pretty, but they kind of look all the same because they get the same plastic surgery. They all get like the jaw shaving and a nose job and the double eyelid. So at the end of the day, when you get the same surgery and you wear the same style of makeup, you kind of just look like twins with a lot of people. Like, it made me feel comfortable because I would just go by the street and see a lot of people with like plastic surgery, and they have the whole face swollen and in 100 of different colors, from like green to like purples, and they look really like in pain, but they're in like the street like shopping, because getting plastic surgery there is like so normal. It's almost kind of like a positive thing because it kind of shows that you want to be successful. So it made me feel uncomfortable. I'm like pro plastic surgery, but I prefer when it's like a personal thing. Like when you want to get the surgery kind of for yourself, I would almost encourage it. But in Korea, it's really like they're doing it out of society pressure. So I kind of felt sad for them. Now about the fashion. About the fashion, I'm kind of like divided. It's because I would say I prefer the Japanese street fashion, but I would say I prefer shopping fashion in Korea. Let me explain. Because when I went to Korea, getting cool clothes is like super easy. Like you find cool clothes from like very cheap prices, and it's basically they have all the knockoffs because all the small brands, they're like their equivalent of like H&M and Zara, copy all kind of like big designer from like Paris and New York and everything. So they always have like the hottest trends like right away when it came off from like Europe, and it's not even in the store yet in Europe, but it's already like in the street in Korea because they just like produce it like very quickly. So you get a lot of like cool fashion for like very cheap prices. Whereas in Japan, it was a little bit harder for me to like find places where I like to shop. I shopped a lot at like H&M and at like vintage shop. And by the end of my first trip, that's when I started like to discover like more shops. And I was introduced to like some new shops from like friends and everything. But it wasn't that easy and instinctive to like find some good fashion. On the other end, the Korean street fashion, in my opinion, is like really bland and boring. Because don't get me wrong, everybody looks good, but everybody pretty much looks the same, because people are really like focused on looking trendy. So a lot of people even dress up exactly just like the mannequin in the shop. You just keep on seeing like the same looks, and after like 1, 2, 3 weeks in like Korea, you kind of like get what is the trend of the moment, and then it's not exciting anymore. Whereas in Japan, I feel like people have a more unique and personal approach to fashion, even if they also have like a lot of trends that everybody likes to follow. People still kind of interpret it and incorporate it like the trends into their own personal taste and looks, more than just like how do I say it? More than reproducing like the trend exactly the way they like saw it in the magazine or in the mannequin. In terms of like makeup trends, I would say I tend to like more the Korean makeup trend, because people are more into having this kind of like dewy skin that looks really like fresh and really like healthy and like pretty and glowing. Whereas in Japan, they are more into like, I would say kind of like old school, more cakey makeup with like powder foundation. So I would have to give this one for like Korea. So thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you visited both countries and you have your personal like opinions to share with us, just comment it down below. It would be like enriching to give you personal point of view, because this is just my personal experiences. So it's interesting if other people like give their opinion. Keep yourself happy. Jana.